So I just finished Andor Season 2, and it was one of my favorite things that Star Wars has ever produced. I think the scale of it, the themes were incredible. But mostly I love that the directors seem to know exactly where they wanted to go with it. And it was so evident to us watching. It's nice when a director actually knows that, to be honest. There are a lot of shows and series that have no clue where they are going. And they almost never end up with a satisfying ending, or one even remotely that makes sense. I'm looking at you, Lost. Then there are other shows that kind of go way too far and way too long, and they should have quit while they're ahead. But there are a few rare movies and shows that when the ending comes, you just know the entire series was about that single moment. And they built the rest of the series off of that. I think of Harry Potter as an example of this. Or with the lesser known, but perhaps one of the most brilliant shows I've ever seen, Fleabag. Or even Ted Lasso. Great endings to that show. But within the Star Wars universe, I think the directors have generally known the direction that they've been going in, and they deliver on that ending. Think of the original trilogy. I mean, this is the most obvious and best example. The ending is so satisfying because Lucas had a vision. He knew exactly where he wanted to end up. And so he came with a clear vision and a direct blueprint for how to follow to where he needed to get where he needed to go, which makes for a satisfying series for us watchers. But compare and contrast the prequels with the sequels in this sense. In one, the direction is clear. The prequels knew exactly where they were going. The ending was right there in sight, and so whatever flaws and poor writing came from that trilogy, at the very least, I think the show has become better with age because it seems to fit with the Star Wars anthology. It has direction. But the sequels, on the other hand, were so fun from the start, and then I can't even tell you how it ends because I think they had no direction. They didn't even know where they're going, and it became so evident to all of us. I saw The Rise of Skywalker maybe 3 times. I forgot if even Ben Solo dies or not, or what even really happens. I found it one of the most directionless stories in Star Wars, and it's maybe one of the most forgettable. And the first 2 movies in that trilogy don't even feel like they contribute to the third in any real or meaningful way, to be honest. But then you have shows like in Star Wars like The Mandalorian. And this to me is a great example of direction that may perhaps be misguided because all 3 seasons had different ending points and all 3 seasons were satisfying or dissatisfying for different reasons. The first season was honestly just fun. It reminds me a lot of like the first season of Ted Lasso. It was just like this new fun show that came out, and really its ending was contingent on season 2 that was coming up pretty close to it. And so the ending was just great because it left room for season 2. The ending of season 2, I believe, was perfect. Luke coming back and easily defeating the Dark Troopers put a tear in my eye. That whole sequence was incredible. That show knew at the end what they wanted to do and where they wanted to be. And it was a reunion with Luke. And they delivered that in such a meaningful way for fans. Now, Season 3 had us believing that they had direction with the Mythosaur and the retaking of Mandalore, but it kind of ends with a bit of a bummer. That season just kind of crushed my expectations because I think the episode when Bo-Katan saves Din, I was so ready for her to mount the Mythosaur and take back Mandalore. But when we just got Jack Black and Lizzo, I have never been more disappointed in a series than that one. But then we got Andor. A show that is the prequel to a movie that already ends perfectly. I honestly think that Rogue One is the best ended movie of any Star Wars series or show or whatever it is that is ever created. And I will die on that hill. Not only with the tragic death of everyone in the Rogue One company, but also with the battle with Vader on the ship. It's just the stuff of nightmares, but also such a good way to end and lead right into A New Hope. But the ending of Rogue One, where everyone dies, is a fantastic ending because it really felt like the director knew where he was going, and then everything was leading straight to it. That whole movie, while it had tons of different movements and characters, never really felt overwhelming because it felt like it had purpose. It felt like it was marching to a specific place. And now Andor has that in droves. I think it's a show that has the clearest direction of anything that Star Wars has created because it seemed to rest on a single idea. I'm sure in the writer's room that a bunch of nerds crowded around a table and said, how can we make Cassian Andor's sacrifice even more brutal and gut-punching? Let's give him a child that he didn't even know he had. And now when I rethink of that show, they can do anything they want and go in any direction they want as long as they keep that in mind. The whole movement of the show is now more intriguing, and they can mess around and do anything they want because they know in their head that they at least will nail the landing. They can explore tensions like how the Empire is taking away everyone's right to live. They can explore themes of prison and espionage and guerrilla warfare. They can go into fun characters like K2 or Luthen, who remains, even for all his flaws, one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. I find him so fascinating, and I love his ship too. I think this is the biggest thing that fans need from a show like this. Yes, I am so happy that we just kind of got more involved into the life of the rebellion and saw how it started and how some of the major players were in the fight, but I love how clear-cut this was. How simple this concept was. It's something that I find and I think is really vital for most filmmakers to understand. That an idea that is simple is often the one that is most interesting and one that will take root in the mind of the viewer. It's like the movie Inception. They take a simple concept that a father's dying words to his son were "I'm disappointed" and change those words to be "I'm disappointed you tried to be me," and this single idea changed the game for the man in the movie. And I think this is the same thing for people who watch these series or movies that people create. If it has a clear and simple idea, then it will resonate for the viewers. Andor. While the ending is brilliant, and obviously the whole show didn't really revolve around the relationship between Bix and Cassian, the ending had clarity. They wanted to make an already sad scene even sadder, but also more hopeful at the same time, because Bix being able to have a child with Cassian is a beautiful way to pass down a legacy, but also simultaneously so sad that Cassian will never know. And I just kind of want to take a second to thank the people who created this show for giving me something to look forward to every single week. It was one of the greatest shows that I've ever seen. You had clarity and direction with the whole project, and I loved every second of it. This is a show I will binge again and again and again. And it really shows the difference between a director who is lost by the ending and someone who knows exactly where they want to go and exactly how it will finish. And that was a delight to us fans. At the very least, it was a delight to me.